Today we will be talking about plagiarism. And have you guys checked your requirements for this week? I hope you did. Because you will be spending a lot of time with Indiana University, especially those of you who haven't taken my class yet. But let's talk about plagiarism. But before we do that, how would you define plagiarism? What is plagiarism to you? And I'd like to hear from Mr. Campos, from Ms. Vigilia, and then from Ms. Carla May. So what is plagiarism? Unmute, sir.
Sir, for me, plagiarism is copying the intellectual property of one author without asking his or her permission or without citing properly na yung article na to or idea na to is siya yung author.
Okay.
That is the way, sir, how I understand the plagiarism.
Okay. What if in my paragraph I have, let's say I have in my paper, what if in my paper, one-page paper, half of it is borrowed from author Mr. Romeo Campos Jr., but I provided the citation and the references. But half of it is, copied from Mr. Campos's work. Is that plagiarism or not? I provided the citation.
Pardon, sir.
So what if I wrote a paper, one-page paper, but half of it was taken from your own work, but I provided the citation and I provided the references? Is that plagiarism or not?
No, sir.
It's not plagiarism?
Yes, sir, because you cite my name properly.
Okay. Miss Vigilia, what is plagiarism?
Sir, for me, it's presenting someone's work.
Say that again, sorry.
Sir, for me, it's presenting someone's work.
Someone's work as your own.
Yes, sir.
As your own. So I copied Miss Vigilia's paragraph, but I did not provide a citation. So it's like I'm presenting your work as my own work. So that's plagiarism. Okay. Miss Carla May, what is plagiarism?
Sir, yun din po, borrowing someone else's work without crediting the author. So,
Without crediting the author. Okay. What if I submitted Professor Bonuan is my professor this time, but she was also my professor last semester sa isang klasiko. And then one of the requirements is to create submit a reflection paper or reaction paper. Pero I copied just a paragraph from my work last semester. I copied one paragraph. It's my own work, my own original work, and I put it into my new submission for this semester. Is that plagiarism or not?
yes, sir.
Why? Why is it plagiarism?
Kasi po, parang na-overuse na po yung ginawa po. Nag-pass ka po sa isang subject, tapos ganun din po yung ipapass mo. Yan po.
Isang paragraph lang naman.
Kahit na po, plagiarism.
Akin naman yun.
Kasi po ginamit nyo po siya twice. Yan po. At
Okay.
sa iba pang professor.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen. So why do you think it's important for us to talk about plagiarism? Why do we need to talk about this? Why do we need to know about plagiarism? Bakit hindi na lang sapat yung nalalaman ninyo about plagiarism?
Sir, may legal po kasi dito eh.
May legal ramifications.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a presentation this presentation is a presentation that I provided to the faculty of the graduate school 2 years ago. So before it became SOLAS, so it was a graduate school. So marami pa kami noon. So the former Dean Subia asked me to present a presentation on plagiarism. So I provided this. I think si Miss Carla May was one of my students before when I was doing this. It's called Kidnapped. Okay, and why is it kidnapped? So the definition of plagiarism is from the word plagiary, which means kidnap. Okay, if you are or somebody is plagiarizing, they're actually kidnapping ideas. Okay, they're kidnapping ideas. According to Park, as cited in Eaton, it's actually called a literary theft. So pagnanakaw talaga, either kidnapping or pagnanakaw. And these definitions, I did not paraphrase them because I want to provide, if it's definition, I want to provide the actual definition of the authors. From Maimuna et al., an act of using others' ideas, methods, or any written words without having permission and with the intention, okay, with an intent that might be acknowledged as the work of the deceiver. Sakit no, pag tinawag kang deceiver, ang sakit noon, parang nanligaw ka tapos ang ganda ng mga sinabi mong napakaganda mo, di ba? You're my inspiration, tapos hindi naman pala totoo, di ba? Tawag sa'yo deceiver. Parang ganon. So you're deceiving your readers when you are presenting somebody else's work as your own. And for Akbar and Picard, it hinders the development of creativity and innovation. Just imagine if we don't address plagiarism in our world, what's going to happen to creativity and innovation? What's going to happen to, di ba, ngayon pa nga lang na meron tayo intellectual property. A lot of our technology are plagiarized already or they copy them, di ba? May mga, yung iPhone, di ba, marami ng mga pekeng iPhone, mga pekeng gadget. So, the innovators would not have the same kind of motivation if they know that their work is not going to be protected. So it's the same thing with academic writers. If I spend tremendous amount of work and effort and my time and even resources to write a research study and get it published, and then it's not even protected and somebody else could just copy it, diba? And they will get all the credit as well, then I wouldn't have the motivation to do anything, yeah, to help improve the lives of people. Again, this happened in 2020. So I was a new faculty member at Wesleyan, but I just wanted, and I was teaching comparative management system and entrepreneurship analysis, and these were my experiences at that time. So sa comparative management system, I had 24 students. 4 students receive a grade of 0 and 2 other students receive a grade reduction because of plagiarism. So entrepreneurship analysis, I had 15 students, 4 students receive a grade of 0, and then 2 students receive a grade reduction. So out of 15 students, I had 4 students or 6 students. That's ano yun, more than 40% sa kanila were plagiarizing, diba? The same thing with comparative management system. And 1 student from both classes submitted plagiarized work 3 times so far when I was presenting this. So far, and this student graduated from WUPI with a master's in education and an MBA. And then this student was on his 3rd semester of PhD BA, and he already successfully passed 24 units. I don't know if he continued to be a student, because I've never seen him since then. He eventually dropped out of my class. And I think his last message was he's still defending himself, something like that. And then I recommended to the dean back then, in the presence of the dean of student affairs, to review all his work, even from his master's in education and master's in business administration. I told them, but I requested sternly, please review all his work. And if you need to revoke his degrees, you need to revoke his degrees if he was doing this. Kasi we need to be able to protect the image of our institution. That's how serious, plagiarism is. People don't think about it. They think that they really don't, deal with plagiarism that seriously. So, but I don't know. Okay, this is an example of what this student submitted. On this left side, ito. So ito yung sinabit niya. Ito yung kinopya niya. Okay, ito yung sinabit niya. The thing is, when I run this through Unicheck, kasi wala pang plug scan ng Wesleyan during that time. So we didn't have plug scan. So I was using my other university's plug scan software. When I ran this, his came back 6% lang out of all this. Pero sabi ko, hindi niya sinulat ito eh. Hindi niya sinulat ito. I knew na hindi niya sinulat ito. Pero it was only 6%. So Unicheck did not capture tong original. So I had to search for it. It took me about siguro mga 30 minutes to really search for this article until I finally found it. It was published in a subscription-based journal. Kaya hindi siya makapture ng plagiarism software. Kasi yung journal is subscription-based. Okay? But I was able to finally do something and pull it out. And it was published by Zhao, Seibert, and Lumpkin. And he just copied it. Okay, itong nasa right column ganun din. He just copied it. Itong mga hypothesis, the word hypothesis, he just changes it to the word remark. Okay. So, ganun sila katalamak. And the student submitted this after completing the foundations module of my classes, which includes paragraphing, synthesizing, mill plan, tsaka plagiarism training. This student also passed the Indiana University training, and he submitted the certificate as well. So for me, thinking, okay, you guys understand what plagiarism is, but still, he submitted this. Ganun talaga. Ganun kalala ang plagiarism before. Okay. What is the course of action that I was doing back then? I was setting up extra credit opportunities because a lot of them were getting dinged on their work. I provided a lot of one-on-one coaching. Fortunately, we just moved to Guam at that time, and I was unemployed yet. So nagtuturo lang ako noon sa UOP tsaka sa Wesleyan. So I had that time to really conduct a lot of one-on-one coaching. And then I was doing, a lot of academic training. On my own time, I set up a 1-month, 4-session academic writing training, not only for my students, but for everybody else. And we did that for 1 month, Saturday evening. And then, some of the morale were low, so I was really encouraging them na I'm here to help you guys out. I know na hindi kayo trained sa proper academic writing at that time. So why do postgraduate students plagiarize? Let me guys have your participation here. Can you explain the first one, Mr. Ariel? Unmute.
Yes, sir. Why do postgraduate students plagiarize? One of the reason is laziness. Being lazy is never an excuse, or laziness is not an excuse, rather, when it comes to writing. And kasi sir, when you enter into a higher education system, just like with regards to getting a PhD, you should have the time, and dapat binibigyan mo yung full time mo so that you can be able to write. Kasi nga nung nagbabasa ako sir with regards to taking up a doctorate degree, it is all about mostly on researches, more on research. Opo. So once you have entered into postgraduate, just like masters and doctorate, talagang bibigyan mo siya ng time. And being lazy is not part of the practice dapat.
It's not a valid excuse, kumbaga.
Yes po.
Pinasok mo yung PhD, then you have to give the time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Miss Ciara, next one. And Miss Jane, the next one.
Why do postgraduate students plagiarize? As it says, lack of competency in academic writing. So when you plagiarize, so pag sinabi natin lack of competency, ano ba yung your writing is not competent enough, parang yun ba yung term niya?
Sinong may kasalanan if they lack competency?
The writer, sir.
Bakit nila kasalanan?
Because yung ginamit nila is it's not on their own words, parang ganun, sir. Hindi competent na you're not competent as a writer.
When I was presenting this sa faculty, actually I blamed the faculty members. You guys didn't train them. Dumaan na yan ng masters twice sa Wesleyan and they still don't know how to write. Whose fault is that? Diba? Kasalanan ninyo mga
Sir,
faculty
yung
members.
foundation po, opo. Yung foundation po kasi nung writing nila is ano po lack. For example, dun po sa from from high school, so dapat po tinuturo na din po siya.
Yeah. Pero remember yung example kasi sa isang estudyante na nakagraduate siya ng 2 masters sa Wesleyan of all the universities Wesleyan pa tapos naka 3 semesters na siya sa PhD. He still doesn't know how to write. And whose fault is that? They lack competency kasi ang mga ginagawa lang ng mga professors ninyo, pinapag-report lang kayo tapos sa mga report pa ninyo, puro plagiarism din. Diba? So di talaga this is something that, you know, it's the fault of not maybe of all the faculty members, but that is the culture that was happening, that academic culture that was happening back then. Kaya, although nababago na yan. Okay. Ma'am, thank you, Ma'am Sienna. Miss Jane, then susunod si Ma'am Joy.
So another reason po kung bakit po nagpa-plagiarize ang postgraduate students is ignorance in plagiarism. So para sa akin, kaya siya nagpa-plagiarize kasi hindi po masyado alam ng students na nakapag-plagiarize na siya kasi yung sa Indiana University. Anak mo po nun, kasi po dati po namin alam na kahit na nakakapag-paraphrase na kami and hindi po kahit quantify siya, plagiarism na po pala siya. Parang kulang po yung training and yung ideas po about doon sa plagiarism.
Yes, ma'am. So, kasama din sa lack of competency because they didn't know. You guys don't know. I didn't know too before. Kasi nga, hindi tayo tinanay na mabuti. So, about lack of competency and ignorance, those are the 2 facets of plagiarism. First, unintentional. The first one is, well, both of them. But the first one, actually, laziness is intentional plagiarism. Alam mo, pero tinatamad ka. Pero yung lack of competency and ignorance, that's unintentional plagiarism. Kasi you just don't know. You were not trained. You were not prepared. Yeah, hindi mo alam. Ma'am Joy.
So flows in education system in terms of assessment mode. So I think, sir, it is parang kung din po siya, sir, yung lack of competency. Kasi yung school po mismo, halimbawa yung education system po kasi natin, hindi po masyadong binibigyan ng pansin yung plagiarism. So dapat po part po ng curriculum is to have awareness on plagiarism.
Yeah. Tama. Pero kino-correct na natin yan. Especially sa Wesleyan. Ma'am Carla May, the last one.
Inconsistencies in applying rules by academic staffs. So, ito po parang ganun din po, inconsistencies. Parang hindi po nila alam yung ano po to explain. Parang nahirapan po ako dito, sir.
So, si Professor A at si Professor B, hindi nila chinecheck. Pero si pagdating kay Dr. Nilo, nag-check. Parang ganon. So, mahigpit si Dr. Nilo, kaya ayaw nila kay Dr. Nilo, kay Dr. A at kay Dr. B sila nag-enroll. Kasi hindi sila nag-check ng plagiarism. Ganon. So, inconsistent talaga. Kasalanan pa rin talaga ito ng mga professors kasi inconsistent sila. Hindi sila pare-pareho ng pag-enforce ng rules. Alright. Great. So what are the 3 types of plagiarism? Kanina, hayaan na natin si Ma'am Abby. Sa kanya to lahat. Paki-explain, Ma'am.
Sir, babasahin ko po ba lahat or explain?
Oo, lahat. Explain mo lahat yan kay Carmen, Ma'am. Save the best for last.
3 types of plagiarism. So, meron daw po tayong lazy plagiarism, avoidance of academic stress and rigor but wants cheap results. Second one, cunning plagiarism, well-informed of plagiarism, copy and paste small portion to make a whole new document. And then accidental plagiarism, lacks understanding of plagiarism and carries out plagiarism due to ignorance. So yung number 1 po is, madami din po, ako guilty din po ako dito nung una. Lazy plagiarism. Talagang easy way out po. Kumbaga, yun na yung pinaka keyword. So we'd rather copy paste kaysa mag-isip ng konti, so mag-exert ng effort. So dito po yung lazy plagiarism. And then cunning plagiarism, cunning being the keyword, meaning kumbaga deliberately, alam niya na plagiarism yon, pero talagang kinomit pa din. So may may intent na mag-ano talaga. Although alam niya na may repercussions, siguro hindi niya masyadong inaano yung magiging consequence. So nag-commit pa din ng plagiarism. And then accidental plagiarism. So dito na po papasok yung na-discuss natin sa last slide, yung ignorance and lack of awareness po talaga, sir, yun talaga ang problem, kasi kapag hindi natin alam kung ano yung nagko-qualify as plagiarism, talagang there's no way for us to know na nako-commit na pala natin siya. So accidental plagiarism.
Great job. Yes, ma'am. All right. So 10 consequences of plagiarism. Who wants to take the first 5? And then who wants to take 6 to 10? Dali lang yan. Okay, I'll do 1 to 2 and then mag-isip na kayo kung sino sa 3 to 6 and then 7 to 10. I'll do 1 to 2. So 10 consequences, it affects the authors. Kasi tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, if I'm an author and then my work is not protected and people would just plagiarize it, I wouldn't have the motivation to do anything anymore. Ano kaya mangyayari, especially in times of COVID, that we need all these experts and researchers to find the cure for COVID, and if their work is not protected, they're not recognized, diba? Our world will not improve. Our world will not develop. The technology will not develop. It swindles the readers. It threatens the foundations of knowledge. Kasi akala ko magaling ka, hindi ka naman pala magaling. Nangopya ka lang pala. Parang ginoyo mo ako, di ba? Parang ganun. And then, anong mangyayari nga sa knowledge? It's being threatened. The innovation, the creativity, and the motivation of all the experts, mata-threaten talaga if we don't protect their properties, their knowledge, intellectual property. Those are some of the consequences. Who wants to take 3 to 6? Ganun lang, mabilis lang. Oh, sige na, isa-isa na nga lang. Okay, number 3. Siyara daw.
Okay, infringes author's future rights. Parang bina-violate yung rights ng author na invading yung niya. Encroaching upon a way. Yes, infringe is violating, di ba? Tama ba yung term?
Oo. Kung kinopya ko yung copy, yung ginawa ni Ma'am Briones, tapos ako nabigyan ako ng awards doon or they recognize me, pero siya naman talaga gumawa noon. Mahirap yun. Ma'am Jane, next one. Number 4.
Yes po. Bali dito po, kaya siya naging pointless research kasi kung mere na plagiarize po yung research mo, is parang hindi mo mapakita yung talagang naging result ng study mo. Parang ganun po. Parang borrowed lahat po ng mga ng study.
Wala nang point. Parang pointless na lang. Parang copy na lang.
Opo, sir.
Yes. Ma'am, Sir Ariel, number 5. Ma'am Aileen, number 6.
It defrauds the system. It is somewhat like nagkakaroon ng deception kasi, sir, when it comes to plagiarism.
That's the word again, deception.
Yes po. So when you defraud the system, you deceive people with your write-up, and then it is somewhat like embezzlement of the knowledge na yung iba, and then ikaw ang you take the idea without even citing the real author.
That's good. Amelie and then Sir Romeo for the next one. 7.
Number 6.
Number 6, ma'am. Yeah.
encourages sloppy research. When we say sloppy, parang unsystematic, sir. Careless, parang ganun.
Unsystematic and unscientific na din. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So, Romeo, then Ma'am Joy.
Number 7 po.
Yes, sir.
Obstruct the work of a scientific journal. Primarily, sir, the objective of the scientific journal, whether it is a high impact or low impact type of scientific journal, is to promote and to elevate the culture of knowledge and creating different researches to discover a certain thing or to create something or to create a profound wisdom about a certain thing. Primarily, if you're going to plagiarize po, kalaban ka nun. Ibig sabihin, kalaban ka
Exactly.
yung mga may gusto na mapalawig. I do not know the word, mapalawig po ba yung mapalalim rather yung mga knowledge patungkol dun sa study na yun.
So for example, si Sir Romeo ang editor-in-chief ng isang scientific journal, and then a lot of people are just plagiarizing the content of his journal. So sabi ni Mr. Romeo, kalaban kita. Anong gagawin ni Mr. Romeo? Diba, you will do anything to protect your journal. So you will file charges, you will go after those. It just obstruct your work instead of just providing an avenue for researchers to publish their articles. Now you're spending time and resources fighting the plagiarism. So nawawalan ka din ng focus sa ginagawa mo kasi you're doing something else. You're putting a fire, you're fighting academic theft. Nakaka-obstruct talaga. Ma'am Joy, tapos sunod si Ma'am Carla. Then Ma'am Abby.
Hello po. So hindi ko po masyadong discredit the whole profession. So parang ano po siya, sir dinidefame, parang ganun po siya. Kumbaga parang dito, the whole profession. Kumbaga po kasi parang, di ba, credit mo na sarili mo yung gawa. Tapos parang nawawalan na po ng justice yung totoong gumawa po ng research or ng isang artwork.
So let's give an example. For example, kung hindi gumawa ng paraan ng Wesleyan and they just let plagiarism be rampant. Tapos lahat tayo graduated ng Wesleyan. Graduate na kayo ng Wesleyan, PhD pa kayo puro naman kayo plagiarism. Diba na-discredit
parang
tayo lahat?
Po, sir.
Damay-damay na tayo.
Yung image po, opo.
Oo, damay-damay.
Yung reputation po ng institution, ganun.
Yeah.
Parang madadamage po siya.
Kahit nagpapakahirap naman tayo, nadadamay tayo sa kalokohan ng iba. Yes, ma'am. Great. Ma'am Carla.
Sir, harms educational establishment. So parang ganun din po. So for example po, pag nalaman ng isang university nagpapagraduate po ng yung mga estudyante po nagpe-plagiarize. So parang nagkakaroon po ng bad impression po dun sa isang university po na yun. So pagka nalaman po nila yung mga ganun, so hindi po magiging maganda yung school po.
Nawawalan ng pride and honor yung degree na nakuha natin kung, di ba? Kung gano'n na nangyayari. Tapos nasisira din ng mga institutions. And Ma'am Abby again.
Sir, number 10 po ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Sabi ko pa naman, sir, wag sana ako dito. Hindi ko alam kung paano. I-explain. Fighting plagiarism is expensive. Sir, nako-confuse ako kung sa part ba nung nag-plagiarize o sa part nung pin-plagiarize. So,
Pareho, sige, pareho.
opo. So, siguro sa part nung nag-plagiarize, kung may legal repercussion siya, sir, di ba? So, hindi ko po alam kung hindi ko alam yung specific. Siguro po dahil may fine, baka may monetary fine po ang pagpe-plagiarize. And then sa part po ng pin-plagiarize, yun sir, I understand immediately kung bakit. Kasi unang-una, paano kung ang dami nang nagka-copy? So ang dami mong kailangang habuling tao, sino-sino mga yun. So the resources it will take para lang ma-determine kung sino-sino sila. And then isa-isa mo pa silang hahablahan. So hindi lang po resources, it takes also a lot of time para lang malabanan sila.
So during this time that that we were doing this sa Wesleyan 2 years ago, a memo came from the VPAA of Wesleyan. Kasi we were implementing Canvas, diba? That was the first time that we implemented Canvas. The memorandum from the VPAA stated that they expect all faculty members to abide, sa rules and regulations when it comes to academic integrity. If we find plagiarism in your modules, we will file legal actions against you. Ganun katindi. Ganun katindi yung memorandum na dumating sa aming lahat na faculty members when it comes to plagiarism. Just imagine kung humabol, kung talagang naghabla ang Wesleyan sa mga faculty members na kahit isang faculty member lang na may plagiarism, diba? Lawyers involved and all the admin work involved, all of that's expensive. So ganun kaseryoso ang Wesleyan. Wesleyan really took it seriously. So they started they started with the faculty members. Make sure na inyong mga modules sa inyong Canvas, they are plagiarism free. Na kung meron man kayong borrowed sources, you have to cite them properly. Ganun. So at the same time, bumaba din yung the same expectations sa mga estudyante. So everything that you will submit, they have to be plagiarism free. Okay, so common types of plagiarism, this is from my other university. Ito yung lagi naming nakikita ng UniCheck. Direct quotations with no in-text citations, paraphrased wording with no in-text citations, so nag-paraphrase pero wala pa rin binigay na in-text citations. Direct quotations with no quotation marks, specific dates, facts, dates, and figures, yung mga not common knowledge na kailangan ng references pero hindi sila nagbigay ng references, missing reference list items. So, importante na when you, ulitin ko, napag-aralan na natin ito last time. If you assert something, you have to provide a supporting evidence. If you assert something, you have to provide supporting evidence. Yung supporting evidence mo, dapat meron siyang in-text citation. At yung in-text citation mo, dapat dapat listed sa iyong references. Malinaw yun? Sino may tanong doon? If you have an assertion, if you're asserting something, you have to support that with credible research or with an evidence. Ang evidence mo dapat na ginamit mo, merong in-text citation. Ito na ngayon, yung mga last name, year, page number, gano'n. At ang mga in-text citations mo, dapat they are listed sa iyong references. At ang references mo, lahat na nakalagay sa reference mo, dapat they are found in your work. Dapat meron sila mga in-text citations. Malinaw? Sino may tanong doon o malabo? So, ibig sabihin, hindi porket naglagay ka ng item sa references mo, okay ka na. Kailangan kasi meron pa rin in-text citation so that when we read your work or your paragraph, your reader should know when your words and ideas end and when the words and ideas of another author begins. Kaya meron tayong in-text citation. Tapos yung mga in-text citations na yun, they need to be listed sa references with a few exceptions. And then yung references mo, they need to be found in your in-text citations. Okay? So, yun nga, tsaka in-text citations not found in reference list. Okay, now, I want you to read, I don't think I provided this, maybe I provided, if not, I can provide it to you. Ito naman yung sa Turnitin, plagiarism spectrum. There's 10 of them. Tapos meron ng bago plagiarism spectrum 2.0 na, pero let's go with 1.0 pa lang. To give you an idea kung ano ba talaga yung different types of plagiarism. And let's see if we can answer some of the first questions that I asked Ms. Aileen, Mr. Romeo, at si Ms. Carla May kanina. So ang unang-una, ito yung very common, yung the clone. Okay, yung submitting one's work word for word as, sabi niya, as one's own. So ito talaga yung simply copy and paste. So again, ito yung estudyanteng nag-submit sa akin, ito yung kinopya niya. Okay? Sinabit sa akin ng estudyante, clone, tawag niya talaga clone. Yan yung word for word. Meron naman tinatawag natin na Control-C. They contain significant portions of text from a single source without alteration. Significance, hindi naman siya lahat, pero significant portion ang kinopya nila. Tapos, itong estudyanteng ito, ikinalat-kalat na lang niya dun sa paper niya. So, ikinalat-kalat na lang niya, ito yung pinagkopyahan niya. Ito, real assignments ito na natanggap ko sa Wesleyan. Okay, so tawag dito Control C. Okay, meron naman tayong tinatawag na find and replace. Yung they just change the keywords and phrases but retain the essential context of the source. Ang tinatawag din natin dito minsan is parrot paraphrasing. Ang tawag din natin dito. So, what they do, they just change some of the words, pero they retain the sentence structure of the source. Meron naman yung remix. These are paraphrases from multiple sources made to fit together. Ang tanong dito sa remix, asan ang original content ng author? Di ba wala? Kasi ang work niya is just from multiple sources na pinagtagpi-tagpi na lang niya. Parang quilt. Di ba yung quilt? Di ba? Parang ganun. Recycle borrows generously from the writer's previous work without citation. Ito yung tinatanong ko kay Ma'am Carla May kanina. Buti naman, sabi ng Carla May, hindi pwede sir. Sabi niya. Kasi hindi talaga pwede. Okay, if you submitted your paper or even a portion of it or a discussion forum from a previous class, tapos sinabit mo sa klase ko ngayon, that's called academic recycling. Or you submit or you reuse one paragraph from a module 1 assignment and you submit it to a module 2 assignment, the same class, hindi pa rin allowed yun kasi that's still called academic recycling. And then there's the hybrid, which combines perfectly cited sources with copied passages without citation. Instead of remix, ito naman ay talagang mga copied naman ito pero wala pa rin silang citation. 7 is mash up. It mixes copied material from multiple sources. 404 error. Ano yung 404? Di ba pag meron kayong clinic na link tapos lalabas doon yung 404 error, link not found or page not found. Ito naman yung mga citations that are non-existent or inaccurate information about the sources. And you know me, I would go to some of your resources. I open them. Kaya hindi po rin naglagay lang kayo ng citation or ng link. Eh okay na. I check them. Trust me. And I know that you know that I check them because sometimes I tell you, oh, nakita ko naman yung page number, ba't di ka naglagay ng page number? Nandun naman eh. Nakita ko may volume number and issue number. How come you didn't include it in your references? I saw it. I opened your reference. Aggregator includes proper citation to sources, but the paper contains almost no original work. Ito yung tinatanong ko kay Sir Romeo kanina. How about kung majority ng paper ko galing sa iyo? Kinopya ko lang. Although it's properly cited, merong references. Pero kung nadidiminish yung original content ko, original ideas ko, original work ko, it's still called plagiarism. Okay? Especially what I discussed last week, in academic writing, your own scholarly voice must be the most prominent. Hindi yung academic voice ng other authors. When I read your paper, I need to read and see and hear your own scholarly voice. Dapat yun yung nakikita ko palagi. That's the most prominent. That's the strongest. That's the loudest. Not the work of other or the voice of other people, other authors. Okay, and then retweet includes proper citation but relies too closely on the text, original wording, and or structure. All right. And I encourage you to search sa internet, Turnitin's Plagiarism Spectrum 2.0 kasi may mga additional pa sila. And kasi hindi akala natin ng plagiarism just representing somebody else's work. Actually, even if we cite properly the work of other people, we can still be called for plagiarism if we break some of these rules. Isa na nga doon kung masyado tayo nag-copy heavily from a borrowed source. Even if we properly cite them, kung nadidiminish yung scholarly voice natin, it's still called plagiarism. Kasi majority, ang sinasubmit natin for assessment ay yung work ng others, not our work. Ganun siya. Okay? Ito yung mga nagtatanong about percentage. Diba sinasabi nila, ilang percentage pa ba ang allowed na plagiarism? It's actually 0%. Kasi ang lumalabas lang dito sa FlagScan or Unicheck is just a similarity. And not all similarity are plagiarism. Kasi may mga similarity lang naman talaga sa mga direct quotes na ginagamit ninyo. It's similarity if it's direct quote and properly recited, tataas ang inyong rating dito, pero it's not plagiarism. Plagiarism has to be 0%. Pero ngayon, sa handbook ninyo, sa bagong handbook ng Wesleyan, you are only allowed up to 5% similarity. And then when I run your paper, I actually don't include your references para mas hindi na makita yung references kasi doon palagi nagkakaroon ng ng matches. Okay? If you have any question, just interrupt me, but I'll keep on going. Ito yung isa sa mga estudyante, not sa Westland, but sa UOP po, na nakita ko na 9% lang naman siya. Tapos, yan lang naman, properly cited naman yung direct quote na ito, di ba? Meron siyang direct quote, properly cited, although wala siyang page number, paragraph number. But yeah, tapos ganyan lang naman. Do you think this is plagiarism? You would think na okay lang ito o medyo suspicious. Kasi I know a lot of you are instructors or professors too. Pag ganito ang nakita ninyo sa report, ito nga yung 9%. Sabi ni UNICEF, it's only 9%. Tapos nakita ninyo, okay lang naman yan kasi it's a proper noun, US-based and France-based teams, okay lang yan, yun lang naman. Miscommunication between the US and French core teams. Tapos itong direct quote niya, meron namang quotation marks, may citation or dakulan ng page number or paragraph number. Would you be suspicious still or no? If you would still be suspicious, can you do a thumbs up sa Zoom? O hindi, parang okay naman, no? This is an actual paper that I received. Parang okay naman, no? 9% lang eh. Parang okay naman. So, okay lang sa inyo ito, papasa. Tapos i-remind lang natin na remember, just paraphrase para bumaba yung similarity rating. Gano'n. So, sinong papasa? Thumbs up sa Zoom. Yung papasa. Wala. Okay, may isa. Okay. The reason why I'm asking you this kasi I want you to be able to recognize na plagiarism ng ating mga software checkers, they can only do so much for us. We still have to have that discriminating eyes and discriminating mind. Actually, this is plagiarism. 100% plagiarism. What happened is that the student just paraphrased every single line. So, yung black font is the student's work, yung red font yun yung kanyang original source. And every time there is a, especially sa UOP po, na meron ganun, lagi kong ginagawa, it takes a lot of my time to do this, but I have to do it. Kasi I need to show them this is what you've done. Kahit na hindi siya na-capture ng unit check, kasi okay naman siya eh. But actually, you just paraphrased everything. You have no original content. Wala, hindi ka na nag-isip. Hindi ka na nag-provide ng sarili mong content. You just plagiarized everything. You just changed the words. Magaling siya mag-paraphrase. Magaling siya mag-paraphrase. Kaya lang, kinopya na lang niya lahat. Hindi na siya nagbigay ng wala na siyang original contribution. So the student got a zero, tapos na-report ko siya sa university. And I think eventually na-kick out yata to. So, meron naman tayo yung mga control C, yung mga mash up, mga ganyan nga. Yung pinagalo-halo lang nila from different sources. So how do we avoid plagiarism? Again, another good reminder, if it's a direct quote, use quotation marks and cite properly. Include the page or paragraph number for 39 or more words. If more than 40 words, it's called a block quote, and I already showed you briefly the format. Pag-aralan nyo na lang ang block quote kapag kayo qualitative researcher na lang. Pero sa inyong academics, don't even use block quotes. Kasi pamparami lang siya ng words. It doesn't really add value to your paper. Paraphrase correctly and cite properly. Cite all non-common knowledge. Okay, list all the references and submit. Ito lagi yung iisipin. Ang paragraph ko ba, is it my original content? Is this my original idea? Am I expressing my original words or ideas? And then borrow only appropriately. a good rule of thumb na lagi kong iniisip, this is from one of my professors sa MA ko, si Dr. John Spencer. I still remember him. Sabi niya, good rule of thumb, kung ilan yung borrowed words mo, pinaro mo na words, kahit na pinaraphrase mo pa siya, basta kung ilan yung binaro na words mo, dapat it should equal or more pa yung analysis mo or yung pag-explain mo. Okay? So for example, yung evidence ninyo has 15 words, pagdating sa analysis ninyo, you have to explain it in 15 or more words. That's para mas majority pa rin ng inyong scholarly voice ang lilitaw sa inyong paragraph. Okay, so if your paragraph has 5 to 7 sentences, do not exceed 3 sentences yung inyong borrowed sources. Majority pa rin talaga dapat ang inyong original scholarly voice, and use your critical thinking skills. And we will discuss this kung may time pa tayo. We will discuss critical thinking. And then yung meal plan, babalik na naman tayo sa meal plan. The main idea is your first sentence that answers the question, is a strong thesis statement, use your own words, and then provide two to three pieces of evidence that you paraphrased and you cited properly. And then your analysis, 2 to 3 sentences, showing your critical thinking skills by connecting your evidence to the first statement or first sentence, explaining how your analysis connects and answers the question. You stay within the evidence. Kung ano lang yung providing evidence, that's the only analysis dapat nalalabas. Okay? And then lead out to your next paragraph so there's a nice, smooth transition of ideas, flow of ideas from paragraph to paragraph. Or if that is the last paragraph or the only paragraph, at least link it back to your main thesis or main idea. So yung last sentence yung talaga, therefore, ganon, chicken came before the egg. Ganon. So always connect to your main idea or wrap it up. Or, yeah. Okay. Di natin discuss kasi na-discuss natin ito. This was my recommendation before sa Wesleyan. Fortunately, after a couple of weeks, PlugScan was approved, and now we have PlugScan. So your requirement is to take the online training at Indiana University, submit a discussion forum post at the Facebook group. If you cannot reuse what you've submitted in my previous classes, you have to come up with new ideas. No citations are required for this discussion forum that is due on Thursday. Walang citation, but if you want to provide citation, that's totally awesome. Pero it is not a requirement. Okay? Pero ang half of the requirement is the certificate. Make sure that you do that. Some of the resources, I think nasa ano na natin ito nasa Canvas na. And these are my references. All right, questions. Sino may tanong? Oh, okay na. Maliwanag. O, sino may light bulb moment? Ma'am Ciara.
Sir, tanong ko lang, yung certificate po ba na yan po yung kinuha namin dati? Yung last semester?
Yeah, hindi nyo na kailangan mag-retake. So, okay na yan.
Okay, sige. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions or merong light bulb moments na ngayon lang na-realize?
Sir, meron po akong
Yes, sir.
question.
Yes, sir.
Actually, may na-commit po akong crime one time for citing. Ano po that? I just only like to check how deep the water is. Parang ganun po yung gusto kong mangyari. One time po ay may friend ako na mag-publish ng journal. So sabi ko, sige ka ako let's write research. Then publish the journal, sabi ko po sa kanya. Then while doing the introduction, may naalala po ako isang praise from one author na book sa isang book. And then dahil hindi ko na po mahanap kung anong book yun, ma-recall kung anong book, I just search it in Google. So yung nung hindi ko po alam kung match yung nailagay ko na edition ng book doon sa edition ng book na i-cite ko doon sa ano. Okay lang po ba sir kung halimbawa same na author, same na book, magkaibang edition, tapos nag-cite ka, tapos ang inilagay mo ay galing yung praise sa lumang edition, tapos yung bagong edition yung nailagay mo. Ganun.
I think okay lang naman yun.
Okay lang po.
Okay lang yan. Kasi I think ang edition lang naman kasi either they just change some ideas kasi may update sa mga bagong concepts or they just expanded the book. Ganun lang naman ang mga edition. Pero normally yung original content nandun pa rin naman eh. Kung phrase yan or quotation, I think that is going to carry over to the upcoming or more updated editions. Kasi mga editions ganun nga, alam ba, may nagbagong concept o may bagong rules, ina-update nila or they just want to expand more yung book, yun, ganun. Pero majority pa rin ng content na book, ganun pa rin eh. It's the same principles pa rin. So you're okay. You're okay. We're not gonna arrest you this time. That was a joke. Sorry. Okay. Any other comments or questions? You're okay, sir. Don't worry. Any light bulb moments? Wala naman. All right. So you guys are easy. So I'm going to start recording.